purchase a weapon for myself. Weapon for a new shooter, calling it a weapon's already saying that it's going to hurt somebody. So, a new shooter should just, refer to a gun, because when you say weapon, right away, the anti-gunners right away say a weapon. Oh, you're going to hurt somebody. But let's go selecting a handgun. This really should be, because you may not select a pistol, or a revolver. It should be just a handgun. But let's go ahead. The first thing, there's fit. It has to fit your hand. And a lot of times what you're going to want to do is, if you have access to a gun store where you could go and handle the gun, most of them won't let you fire it. If you could fire it, that's great. A lot of ranges, gun shops have ranges in them where you could rent the gun and shoot it. That's ideal. But the fit, then you're going to have to decide the power of the weapon, or gun. It depends. Selecting a 45 ACP, a 45 caliber gun, for a woman, she may not be able to handle it, whereas for a male, even a male may not be able to handle a 45, and a female may. So it just depends on the power, if you can handle that, and what power you want, what stopping power you're looking for, what kind of clothes you're going to be wearing, functional reliability. That's a big one. There's a big case when we look at 3 and 4 functional reliability, and then we look at revolvers versus semi-automatics, and then some people say revolvers, some people semi-automatics, and that's a very, 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 very big question, on what you would use. Revolvers, they've been known to be a little bit more reliable because there's less moving parts. You don't have a slide going back. You're less likely to get a jam. So for actually first-time users, or really not seasoned shooters and inexperienced, small revolver, a lot of times for women too, it'll fit their hand. Or even for men, revolvers are great. They make large calibers and small, where you just, pull the trigger and it's going to go boom. It's sometimes better. Semi-automatics, they do offer high capacity, and they are well made as long as you buy a good one. On a revolver, I wouldn't buy, or a semi-automatic pistol. A semi-automatic is also called a pistol. Just let you guys know that. Buy the best you can, because there's crap revolvers and crap automatics. Do a lot of research, go to a lot of websites, ask a lot of questions. YouTube's a great place to get a lot of information and tips. The size. Like I say, how big is it? Going to fit in a waistband, fit in a pocket? How are you going to carry this in hotter climates like Florida, California, and stuff? It might have to be a little smaller. If you're going to be wearing a coat over it, it probably won't matter as much. And the same thing when I said power. I think power and caliber, go 1 and 1. Higher calibers are going to give more recoil. There's other features like, how the safety is, if there's a safety, what type of grips, those are actually, there's those other features that are included, cosmetic things, what kind of sights. Buy a new or used. New gun is going to be some high quality guns can be very expensive. Sometimes you can get a good deal on used guns. There's a lot in Florida, especially. There's Arms List, there's Florida Gun Trader. There's a lot of different areas in Florida where you can buy used guns in pretty good quality. A lot of people will meet you at a range, and you can fire them too before you buy them. So, and then you save a little bit of money sometimes. But normally, a high quality guns, they ask about the same prices if you buy them at a gun show or at the gun store. Then there's import versus domestic. Some imported weapons are very good. Some you may not have or may not have experience with, and some people might not, and you might not be sure. There's domestic guns too, so that's a decision you're going to have to make. One's made in the United States, made overseas. There's a lot of good guns made overseas, a lot of good ones made in the United States. Modifications, some will have threaded barrels, different modifications on the gun. So those are all things you have to weigh, and a lot of it boils down to what you're going to use the gun for. So let's go ahead to more into the caliber and the power, and we're going to go into that now. Ammunition considerations for just about any weapon you're going to be carrying. or using for self-defense. Of course, if you're using it for self-defense in the home, that's going to be different than if you're using it for self-defense kind of like outside in the street or outdoors, let's say. Power versus over-penetration. It took a while for me to figure this out, too. The power a gun has versus the over-penetration. Some can be very high-power rounds and do not over-penetrate. Some can be very low power, and they can over-penetrate. Power versus over-penetration, and I think what you'd have to say is power is the amount of force that bullet's going to hit somebody with. Over-penetration would be after it hits somebody, if it hit them, if it will go through them and through a door, or if it missed them, and it will go through a door and possibly could go through that door and go next door if you live in a residential area, go through a window and hit somebody. And then you would be liable. You'd be in jail. Okay. So those are things to, decide on. And they do make a lot of low recoil. Hollow points tend to not over-penetrate as much as Full Metal Jacket because the whole point of a hollow point is to mushroom. You can get low recoil bullets. They do have fragmentating bullets that fragment when they hit hard surfaces. Then that has to be weighed with the minimum adequate caliber. What are you going to carry? Some people say 380, some say 9mm, some say 45. I would have to say if you want to go with a small caliber, a 38 caliber would be fine. You could run a 38 with plus P. It's going to have a little bite, but I would say minimum 38. 9mm is okay too, but then, like I say, you're going to have to get into an automatic. There's plus P, and magnums, so it just depends there. Then you're getting into the magnum with over-penetration, handling power, bigger frames. So those are all, things that you'd have to decide. And then the best way to do it is if you could, I had a friend, you could use this gun, go out to the range. Gun shops sometimes, but they just want to sell what they're selling. So you need to go, spend about $100, rent a few guns, go out to the range and shoot as many as you can. I mean, they don't have to be the model you're going to buy. Shoot a 9mm, shoot a 38, shoot a 45. Shoot a magnum, bring some bullets, some plus Ps, and then you'll get a feel for that size gun and how it feels, and just make a selection, because when you make that selection, the gun is yours. This goes along now. The next slide's going to go along with minimum adequate caliber and power. There's a few here. You have wad cutters. You have semi-wad cutters, you have Full Metal Jackets, and you have hollow points. Normally, the wad cutters and semi-wad cutters are target ammunition, and these are just solid lead. It looks like they're not coated. Your hollow point is usually a defensive load meant to mushroom. It has this hollow point here, and it's supposed to flatten out. The Full Metal Jackets, you could do those. You could use those too. They have a higher possibility of over-penetrating and a hotter load. I would go with like a low recoil, a hollow point, and I think it would be okay. And a 38s too, they make hollow points too. But I think that's going to be another thing you're going to have to decide. You're going to have to look around, and there's no substitute for experience. Now, if we're going to continue these bullet types. Like I say, a jacketed hollow point. There's a jacketed soft point. Now, a jacketed hollow point is like I was just showing you right here. This is a hollow point, but it's not fully jacketed. Okay, the difference here is this is a fragible, which means it's like a hollow point, like a jacketed soft point almost, and it has inside of it BBs and this with a little cap. So when this hits, it kind of explodes out. So this is meant to produce maximum force, where it would be stopped by a solid object or a person, and it would be less likely to go ahead and penetrate because these little cuts in there, they would flatten out. It would flatten out like a dish. So less is going to go. So these are actually probably defensive. Defensive would be the bullets you'd want to carry. A jacketed hollow point, jacketed soft point, or the fragible. Okay, so those I think would be ideally what you're going to want to carry. So I mean, these are just things you want to decide, like when you're getting your gun, and what you're going to need. Now the next thing you want to go to ammunition. You want testing personal protection ammunition. You really have to test it, take it out to the range, how it functions, and changing ammunition. Personal protection versus practice ammunition. Okay, so generally, personal protection ammunition is usually different than practice ammunition. Your personal protection ammunition is more expensive, and your practice ammunition is going to be cheaper. You should practice a lot with your practice ammunition and then a little bit with the personal protection ammunition. They should be pretty close. So I'll give you an example. Let's go back here to here. Okay, this would be like all this full metal jacket, these wad cutters and semi-wad cutter would be like a practice ammunition. Your hollow point would be more of a defensive ammunition. If you go here, these are all three are more defensive ammunitions. Because they're specialized types. So, yes, you'd have to, get a good personal protection ammunition, fire your practice, fire a little bit you're going to probably have to fire at least one box to make sure it functions in your gun, like 20 rounds. But it does get pretty expensive. Practice a lot, be good with it. Even with the practice ammunition, you can use a little hotter ammunition too. Than your personal, and that will give you'll be able to train your hands with the gun and on the targets. And you can go back to my aiming and shooting type video I have there that would help you a little. Now, okay, of course there's accessories, and a lot of these are like for the house. So if you go back to the personal protection, it's going to be in the house or where it's going to be. Let me go back to where I had that and how you're going to decide. Where I had that. Yeah, see, you'd go back into this here, and then you also, and you have to decide items you're going to probably need, and this is probably what you'd probably want. Okay, like buy a bed stand. If you have, you really should have a flashlight. Extra magazines you should have if it's an automatic, and that's how they take magazines. A speed loader for a revolver, a cell phone's always good. So, I mean, out of these, depending on what kind of gun you have, you probably need a flashlight and a cell phone near your bedstand. And if you've got a revolver, you don't need a speed loader, maybe one speed loader, because the gun is going to hold, 5 or 6 shots anyway. And I really doubt it, you're going to have a war inside your house. Usually you're lucky if you're going to get one shot off. You may not even get one shot off. But the guy might run out the door. So, but as long as you and I think another one's very important is this functioning and changing ammunition, the personal protection versus the practice. But I think if you keep those in mind, it's you really have to do is also there's a lot of training places out where you can train and be experienced with your gun. That's what you got to do. So if you follow all these, I would just jot these down: the fit of the gun, the power, the reliability, revolvers versus semi-automatic, size, caliber. Other features are just general things: sights, lasers, how it looks, cosmetic, new and used, import versus domestic, and some custom modifications or modifications done to it after you bought it. So I would look at that, and you could probably make a pretty educated decision on what you want. I hope this has been educating you, and especially for first-time shooters or people who have been shooting for a while. I learn new things every day. So thank you for watching my video, and I hope this was educational. Okay, guys, and what I want to get into is how to pick a gun. And let me just show you these. These both are empty. Okay. It's empty. Okay. And this one here is empty. Let's take them out of their holsters. Let's lay them down there and show you. Okay, we have two handguns here. Well, two handguns. One's a revolver and one is an automatic. Okay, you have two here, and one has a laser. It's a Smith & Wesson 642 airweight. This is a very, very light gun. Okay. The other one is a XDS, Springfield XDS 45 ACP. Okay, you can see it says it on it. The identification most of the time is on the guns. Whereas this says, see? Okay, 38. And it will only take the 38 and plus P. That's it. So it tells you what it will take. Most of these will take a plus P45, your 45s, but you should verify that with the manufacturer. When coming to decide what type of handgun, whether it's going to be a pistol or a revolver you're going to decide to carry, it's a very important decision, and it can be a life-threatening decision. Myself, I tend to want to stay with a larger bore automatic. If you can get a small one like this, like a 357 or 45, this is a nice little gun to carry too. Okay. The differences in the size of the bullets. The 45 ACP has a lot bigger bullet. I'll show you than the 38. 38 you're looking at like that. 45 ACP you're looking at like that. So let me show you. Okay. Difference is, this is the 38 and that's the 45. They go by diameter. This is 0.45 inches. This is 0.38 inches. It's an okay bullet. You know, if you didn't have anything to defend yourself, being accurate with it and comfortable with the gun is the main thing. So I would advise, try to go to a gun shop that has a range and rent the gun for the day. Really, how a gun feels in your hand, how you can hold it for shooting, how comfortable it is for you, really means a lot. It really means a lot in a gun. How you're going to hold it, how it's going to be comfortable, how it fits your hand. Also, this has a pretty good grip on it, this revolver. And these XDSs, they do have different kind of safeties on the automatic. There's a safety there. This is a safety here, so you have to engage that and that in order to pull the trigger. But it's going to really depend on you. Some people might want a bigger gun. They may even want something like this. Okay, look at that monster. But it really is a personal preference. Most of your guns your automatics are gonna be fed by a magazine like this. You can carry 2 magazines. I'm not gonna cock it. You just pop it in like that. It goes in. To take it out, you press the button and it pops it out. Okay, these would require you to open it and put the bullet in like this. You have to manually feed the bullets in like this. Okay, to eject, you press that back out and they come out. Whereas the automatic, when this goes back, it automatically throws the empty shell out and engages another one. Sights on a small, compact, handheld one like this aren't very much. They just give you that because it's for close combats. This has a little bit better sight picture, but you're really not worried about that because a gun like this, it's in this holster so easy, it disappears and you clip it in your belt. And the same thing with this. This would just disappear on you. It's so small. So you really have to decide whether you want an automatic or a revolver, and that's really a personal preference. For beginners, I tend to sell them to use a revolver. They're idiot proof. You can put the bullets in there. There's no compressed springs or anything. Those I always check. Okay. Because once you pull that trigger, this particular one has a hidden trigger. I trigger a hidden hammer. So when I press it, if you watch there, you'll see the pen still go. You'll see the firing pin. See it there? Hello? But it's hidden, it's inside. Versus a regular one with the hammer outside here. This difference is it allows you to cock back for like target shooting and stuff like that. Whereas on this, you're not really able to do that. But I wanted to show you that and get you some information on the differences there are, and some of the concerns that you may have before you pick one. But the best way to go is to any kind of local gun shop. Most of them let you rent their guns, and you can take it out and shoot it, and they will let you try it out and see if you like it. So thanks a lot for watching, guys, and have a great day.